Why have I made this so complicated over the years? So I took the time that evening to do my own meditation on it. And when I say my own meditation, it's more like finding really chill music and allowing my brain to go wherever it wants to go. That I'm not putting any restraints on it, that I'm thinking, the only rule is to think good thoughts, and then let's see what happens. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Small Business Success Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood. I know I've been away for a bit. I thank you for your patience so very much. Oh my gosh, there's been a lot going on. There's just been a lot going on. And if you've been keeping up with my story at all, you know that I have become a solopreneur again. It's been a year now since I've had my team in place that helps me keep up with all of the episodes. So that's why there's been a little inconsistency this past year. I promise I am back on track. Finally hit a breakthrough state of life here recently, and it's getting back on track. So for those of you who've been keeping up with my story, you know that the past couple of years have been what I affectionately call the shitstorm of life. We all have them, we all go through them, but this time I have just been determined to do things very differently. And so there's been a lot of, why does it have to be that way? I don't have to choose that if I don't want to. I know it may, like, the decisions I've been making have been throwing off a lot of people. And I would say it's not bad for me, because there are some decisions that I'm making that are very wise for me long term, that doesn't fit the mold of normal traditional routes of life. And I say that because I have been in I'm affectionately calling it my migratory state of life. I'm not necessarily the classic blue hair lady. I do have blue in my hair, which makes it all the more funny because I migrate between Florida and the Louisville area. I say Louisville area because I'm now across the river in New Albany, Indiana. It's just literally right on the river. Like right there's like right behind me, about not even a mile is the bridge. So Louisville's literally 2 miles away from me. So all that has been a lot to navigate and get into a good rhythm with it. And at that point, when I first started that for my living situation, it was a matter of, I was basically homeless. My finances had gotten me. The decisions I made that led up to certain things coupled with that toppled things over. The car wreck, a business partner who decided they just didn't want to do it anymore, and it just sank everything I had. So much so that it created this never-ending void of financial difficulties. And I'm finally hit solid. So now I can work. I've been working my way back up. To the point that all of that within 6 months of the trigger happening. So 6 to 8 months from the wreck, my credit score tanked. And when I say tanked, I went from 7 something to 490. Just, putting that out there, that it's not easy. Like when something like this happens in your life, like what are the parameters? So I've got tools of my own that I use for figuring shit out, being strategic, all that good stuff that I have walked my clients through over the years. I did the same thing for myself, including making some changes, doing some things very differently than I've ever done before, because I needed to break some cycles. I have noticed, so I'm sharing all of this in this episode so that you as a business owner know you are not the only one that's ever going to go through or been through or going through shit right now. that doesn't seem to make sense. There's some things that's probably happened that wasn't your fault to put you in the position you're in right now. That what you have been doing is no longer working to get you where you really want to go. And that's the place where I have been the past handful of years. When I left my corporate job in 2009, at that time we were in a recession, and KFC was the place that I worked, and we were no strangers to the crap to the recession. And my position got cut. And so they said, fly, little birdie, go find something else to do with your life. And I took that opportunity and ran with it. So and that was totally different. I did at that time try to get a job. The job market sucked at that point too. And I said, screw it. I need to be making some money. What am I good at? I started freelancing and piecing things together. And then a friend of mine was going through some stuff. We sat and we had dinner, and I just talking him through some things. And he said, you are the best life coach I've ever sat with. And I was like, I don't even know what that is, because at the time I had no idea. So I looked it up, and sure enough, I'm like, oh, I've been doing this stuff without realizing that could even be a thing for me. So I got officially trained. I started down that pathway, and started my own business with coaching. Fast and continuing to move forward, like in that first business partnership that also went toxic. Like, the common denominator is me. I have to be doing something different here. I have a bad picker when it comes to things. But I had that with partnership started out great, and after a couple of years, I should have left it, didn't, stuck with it too long. My identity was wrapped up into what we were doing, and learned a lot from it. And I also knew, like, that can't happen again. Can't do it the same way again. The following, because it destroyed me financially. We weren't making the money. To give you an idea, with that particular business, I hardly ever broke $1,000 a month for myself. So while we had a lot of expenditures in the business, because we did a lot of networking, a lot of things, I never saw it in my bank account. And that was hard enough to live through. So once that ended, I piecemealed together and started my own business again, and got it back to a place where I could manage and live and actually go do some fun things. And it got to a place where I'm like, I need to not live in somebody else's home, because I was living in a basement apartment situation. I was like, I'm ready to, be on my own. Got a job. And that fixed a lot of things financially. Let's make no mistake. It was consistent income that I didn't have to fight for every single day. And that part was nice. It allowed me to get a new car, a new to me car, a new used car, and into my own apartment, my own space, all by myself. I could decorate how I want. Nobody's there to, like, all of the things was great. But after 45 days, I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. I sucked it up. I managed to make it until they decided I wasn't supposed to be there after 11 months. My contract was for 3 years. And the reason for that, honestly, is I'm going to take it because I pushed back on a lot of things that they really needed to change within the company, to make it the best that it could be, to serve their clients better, and they would have none of that. And so, yeah, that's how that went. And I'm just still such a champion for small business owners, and that we could develop budgets over time. That's not what they wanted to hear either. For all of their lower end clients, they wanted to go after the big dogs. They didn't want somebody that just worked with small business. I was like, fine. Every big business starts somewhere, and I'm ready to work with my small business clients again. So leave that, get back to doing my own business. And I'm sharing all of this because you'll see you probably have the same kind of path. that you've done really well, and all of a sudden something happens and it knocks you on your ass. You do really well, you build up, you do really well again, knocks you on your ass. So from that point, I rebuilt my business, was doing great, had that whole 6-figure thing going on. And I also had a second business with a business partner. 24, I realized, I was like, oh, my pipeline's starting to dry up. And at the same time, that second business, he wanted to take and do it full time, brick and mortar, have the staff, like really pump into it and blow it up. I was like, okay, well, this is an exchange of time and effort and energy, capacity. So my team managed to keep things status quo for my business while I helped go get all of that set up. And that took a few months, which is not a problem. But what was happening in my business, managing everything at the same time, because I didn't have a salesperson for my business, I wasn't giving my business the attention it needed. September of that year, I had a full calendar. I was getting back out to rebuild my pipeline, and that's when I had a wreck. And that wreck knocked me out of any sort of consistency for a good 2 months, easily 2 months. It should have been 3, but I'm a little stubborn and hard-headed, and here we are. Because from that wreck, I was spending a good 10, 12 hours a week dealing with doctor's appointments and all that kind of stuff. And then you have the whole, I just didn't feel well enough to do a whole lot of work after that. So then fast forward to end of October, that business partner that I did all of that work for comes in, decides he doesn't want to do business. He doesn't want to do that business with me anymore, because he had started another business that was, making more money faster. So he wanted to kill this one, go with that one. And that just left me. And I was like, oh my God, he has no idea what that just did to me, because I was I just want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of our show, 502 Hemp in Louisville and 812 Hemp in Clarksville, Indiana. If you are looking for quality legal cannabis products, they are definitely your source. If you have questions of what would work best for you, their educated staff can help you choose the best product for your needs, like they did with me. I was having some real issues. One, my hormones were raging and I was raging all the time, just not in a very good place. And when I went into the store and I expressed everything that was going on, they asked additional questions that helped them get me to a solution. And the solution meaning better sleep at night, my inflammation's lower. I have been able to just be a better quality of life with my whole mental attitude, because these things work great. My preference is the Maria products. That is a special blend that 502 Hemp owners have created themselves. And I use the Ultra Spectrum CBD gummies, the blood orange. It's 1,000 milligrams. Like, this is the potent stuff, like, meaning it's the highest milligrams I can get. And I need that for what my system needs. You may not need that much. They also have oils. And so I love the full spectrum here as well, but they have ranges, and according to what you're looking for to help in your body, they can help guide you in that way. So check them out at either 502hemp.com or 812hemp.com. Or if you're driving by, stop in one of the stores and they will absolutely be able to help you out. There's no need to wait for a medical dispensary to open. They have safe, reliable products now. And if you stop in a store, tell them Christy sent you, they'll give you 15% off. And not only that, but if you order online, 502hemp.com or 812hemp.com, and you put in that discount code of success, you'll also get 15% off. So check them out today. And I very much appreciate them being a sponsor of Small Business Success Talk. I had no idea what that just did to me, because I was relying on the income that was coming from that to get me through the months that I needed to rebuild the pipeline from the other business. He had no idea. Not his fault. I was not in a state that you should never make big decisions when your brain ain't quite right. And when I was I was taking speech therapy because I could not formulate sentences in my head quickly enough. It was just like right now, like I still have a hard time. Every once in a while it pops back up if I'm trying to do too much. So I learned a lot about how the brain works during that period of time. And while I made some piss poor decisions, it came from making decisions the same way I made decisions previously. So I was just reliving yet one more bad cycle in my life. I'm like, what the hell? Christy, can't you get your shit together at some point? So I was already down on myself. This financial void started, and it just kept sinking deeper and deeper and deeper until I finally had to let the team go. I had to make some really hard decisions, and I was trying to get there faster, and I didn't. I hang on too long, and I know that's one of my weaknesses because I want to do the best I can for everybody involved. And to tell you all this story, I'm leading it up, but stick with me. So after, I lose the team, I lose the friendship with the business partner because I'm not able to pay back money that I borrowed from him to make it through the season. And then a bunch of other things. Like it was layer upon layer upon layer of just poor decisions that I had said yes to when I should not have said anything. Like I should have just taken a step back and all that kind of stuff. Now, since we can't go backwards and change things, there came a few days over the course of all this too, and I said I've learned a lot about how our brain works, how the brain affects the body, and not just to run the body when we're not thinking about it, but it's running our life when we're not thinking about it. It's how we make those decisions started a long time ago, and the belief that we have that's driving the reason why we've made the decision the way that we did. And now our decision making just becomes muscle memory. It's brain muscle memory on the process in which we use to make our decisions. There's neurons and there's dendrites and there's all kinds of, scientific biology names for all of the things and how it gets connected. Highly recommend you study a little bit more on that. But everything that you've ever heard some woo-woo person talk about, the more you think about, the more it comes about. What you focus on expands is true, because what you're constantly thinking about, what you're constantly doing, is creating that neuron, and that neuron gets stronger and bigger, more solid every single time we do it again. So you have one neuron for I took a step, that step worked as a baby. Great, I want to take another step. That's that neuron. It's just getting reinforced all the time. So as that decision making, you did it once and it seemed to be okay. You do it again and it's not okay, but it had to have been okay because it was okay this time. So instead of doing something different, you still make the same decision the same way. This is Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. And I get myself into that trap all the time. I have learned over the course of this past year, these past months, to pay attention to that a whole lot more, because my business depends on it. My livelihood depends on it. My impact in the world depends on me paying attention to how I'm thinking and how I'm making decisions. So, I have found that all of this is so crucial to business making and putting things in motion and building that momentum and getting it to maintenance. All of that is so driven by what's going on in our heads. It's wild to me to think that that is that important. When I first heard or saw somewhere, somebody said, and it might have been Jim Rohn, it could have been some research paper, that top 1% of people, those billionaires out there, they spend a lot of time thinking. And I'm like, what is that? What are you supposed to do with that? What are you supposed to think about? Now, I'm a reader. I love to do my readings. I love to read the Bible every day. I love to sit and meditate on the Word. That's part of what thinking is. I then, in 24, I started the practice of guided meditations. I thought it was so woo-woo to begin with. I made it through like 15 seconds the first time. I'm like, my mind is going all over the place. Well, then I got myself up to, okay, we're going to do this twice a month. New moon, full moon, it's already on the calendar. It tells me, like, oh, okay, got to meditate this night. I'm a moon person. It's all good. And so I do that, and these guided meditations have gotten me to a place of using my imagination again. I allow my brain to think good things. That's what guided meditations help me do, is think more good things instead of bad things. Because I don't know if you're paying attention to your own thoughts, but how much time do you worry about things in a day? How many thoughts do you have that's more worry than joy? Like, how do we want to, if anything, to create balance, it should be a perfect imbalance of joy thoughts in our life versus panicky worry thoughts. Because what happens in our bodies based on our thoughts is so also very wild to me. Again, back to woo-woo, but now science backs it up. Our brain, when we have a thought, creates chemicals. When I said it has a neuron, it's not just the neuron. It then is chemically charging our body to do certain things. It could be having those butterflies in your stomach when you see somebody that's really cute and you think you're falling in love, when you get a crush, whatever. It's a chemical reaction. Same thing happens when we're nervous to go on stage, or putting out that big proposal, or having to have hard conversations. Something, you can feel it in your body. The stress of being in survival mode for so long, because the way that my brain has functioned, I've been on high alert survival mode pretty much my entire life. There's not been very many moments, and I talk about this in my presentations on balance or decision making, or pretty much any presentation I have when I talk about the being super method, is that I've rarely felt in my body relaxation. So the time that I did, in a season of an extremely high stress, I thought I was having a stroke. I thought something bad was happening, and it wasn't. It was just, I felt relaxed. It was an unfamiliar sensation. And it felt good though, and I was like, I want more of that. And so I've been on this journey of learning more and more and more about that, because the more relaxed I can be, the better decision making I can have for my own business. So, leading up to this past Friday, had a conversation in our B2B group, and we got to talking about defining our target audience. And part of that conversation with our target audience is, do we have our why truly defined? Why do you do what you do? Simon Sinek is start with a why. And I get it. Like, why do I do what I do? I'm like, I want to help people. Of course you want to help people. That's why we all do business. Of course you want to help people. But Katie Hutchison, which I hope to have her on the show at some point, she is a hoot and a half, let me tell you. Kit Consulting, she is a technology matchmaker. So that's how she introduces herself. A lot of tech things. And she just said it so brilliantly. Like, while they do the tech, she's like, I just believe everybody deserves better. And I was like, that is so beautiful and so simple all at the same time. Like, why have I made this so complicated over the years? So I took the time that evening to do my own meditation on it. And when I say my own meditation, it's more like finding really chill music and allowing my brain to go wherever it wants to go. That I'm not putting any restraints on it, that I'm thinking, the only rule is to think good thoughts, and then let's see what happens. And so as I'm allowing my brain to just kind of go all over the place, the theme of the night is, why am I doing all of this? Why have I gone through everything that I've gone through, that I've shared with you, to stay in business? Why am I doing all this? What is driving me so much that I want to help somebody else do the thing? And what is the thing that I want to help them do? Like, all of the questions. And it finally come down to a very simple: I don't want to see people stuck that want to be unstuck, when they want so desperately to be out of the situation that they're in, but they don't know how to get out. They're ready to do the work of it. They just don't know what to do. I can help, because as you've heard my story, I've been there so many times. I've learned not only so much information, but tactics and strategies, and wisdom comes with that. Discernment comes with that I can share with other people to help them get unstuck, to unleash their full potential and their power to be able to take and run with that. And those that do have gone on to do amazing things. And I love to know that our conversations have been part of that growth. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help people get unstuck and maybe either point you in the right direction, walk with you along the way, whatever. But I know what it feels like to have that whole desperation of the void and what that does to my soul. Because being stuck like that has been this emotional and mental prison for my soul for so long. And so how do you unleash your soul? It's a process. Some people out there may absolutely be lucky enough to be what I call a Damascus Road experience. If you're unfamiliar with the Bible, in the New Testament, there is an apostle named Paul. His previous life he was Saul, and he was very much against all the Christians. In fact, he would kill all of them he knew. He was the Pharisee of Pharisees. He was born a Roman and Jewish, blah, blah, blah. The dude was charismatic. He on fire. And God looked and said, yeah, well, you're going to be on fire for me. So on the way to Damascus to kill more Christians, Paul gets blinded by the light, literally. And the figure that he sees, or he hears, not figure he sees, he hears Jesus talk to him, and gets questioned, and why are you killing my people? And I didn't know it was you, and all the conversation they have. But then he gets up and walks away, and he's blind. He is blind. Gets taken to the village, to a disciple who is able to get the scales off of his eyes, and now he sees differently, and he's given a new name, Paul, and now he has a new calling. He has a new trajectory. His potential got unleashed, because what he didn't realize at the time was that he was so in the wrong direction with all of his energy, that this new direction gave him the purpose and the impact in the world that he never could have had in the other place. And the only way to have that for him was to have that Damascus Road experience, where it happened pretty quickly. I say that pretty quickly. For the rest of us, it's going to be a journey. It's a process, and it may be layered with new techniques and new ways of doing things all the time. And that's where I've been. This just doing new things all the time. Even with this show, I'm going to be doing new things, because some of it needs to be able to fit within the capacity that I have. And some of it's I want to level this up. I want us to have deep conversations. And I want this show to be a resource and a tool for you to use on those times whenever you're I just can't take this shit anymore. I need to know that somebody else can do it. I need to know that somebody else has been in my shoes. This is your place. This is your place. So we're creating that community. I'm going back to Success Builders Launchpad. We're creating that community. We're still in the small stages of it, to where we'll have things that bring us together, like a book club, like uplift networking, different courses and experts coming in to teach in various ways. it's in the beginning stages, so bear with us, but please join it. It's free to join. And then there's opportunities to take it elsewhere within the Success Builders Launchpad. And of course, there's all kinds of things. Those, as we grow this together, I'm very appreciative of each and every single one of you that listen and reach out to tell me things that have resonated with you in various episodes, or you've seen an episode, or I see you did this. Like, I love talking about it offline just as much as I do online, and that is fantastic to me. I do have some surprises coming up, so to lighten this up as I wrap up the episode, there are some really cool things that are going to be happening this year for this show, and I hope everybody's here for it. There's going to be times that's going to be a little noisy, because might be on the road while I do an episode. So bear with me, but the content should be good, because, you know, if you have been around any length of time, you know how that conversation can go, and Christy's just letting her mind wander and unleash, and I'm just sharing it with everybody. That's a fun time. Always. Our next episode coming up, we do have some guests coming up, and I'm very excited about that. We're going to be talking about marketing, and got another spotlight coming up for you, as well as one that I've been pumped about. They reached out to me, and so we are actually going to be having Constant Contact come on the show. So that is exciting. We're going to talk about all of the things necessary for businesses to grow. And not just the business, but you as the owner, the entrepreneur that's out here making life happen for yourself and everybody involved. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for your time today, for listening to this episode. Thank you for sharing it with your friends. Thank you for following, doing the subscribe thing. You know what to do. And I will be here, and see, here's the thing. I will see you again on the next episode, but that's not the case. The case is actually, you'll see me on the next episode of Small Business Success Talk. Thanks for joining in.